Ladies, today I came here to tell you a truth that might hurt, but it's going to set you free. A truth that every woman learns either too late or right on time. And that truth is this: the day you stop fighting for someone who won't fight for you, that's the day your whole life changes. See, most women think walking away means losing. They think silence means weakness. They think if they don't explain everything, if they don't beg to be understood, if they don't prove their love, they'll lose him forever. But let me tell you, walking away peacefully is not losing. It's leveling up. It's showing your heart, your mind, your soul that you will not break yourself for someone who can't even bend for you. You ever notice how a man acts when you stop chasing him? When you stop texting first? When you stop checking if he watched your story? Suddenly he wakes up. Suddenly he wants to understand why your energy changed. Suddenly he starts wondering who's getting the attention he used to waste. Let's be real. When you walk away quietly, without drama, without fights, without begging, that silence hits different. That silence makes him rethink everything he took for granted. That silence makes him realize your presence was power, your love was rare, and losing you wasn't just a mistake. It was a disaster he created himself. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you finally choose yourself, when you choose peace over chaos, when you choose dignity over desperation, when you choose to lead, not loudly, but gracefully, because trust me, that peaceful walk away, that's when he starts chasing. Stop chasing him. Start chasing yourself. Ladies, listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to say might sting, but it's the truth that will set you free if you let it. The more you chase him, the further he runs. And the moment you stop chasing him, the moment you redirect all that love, all that energy, all that effort back into yourself, that's the moment the game changes. Not because you're trying to manipulate him, not because you're playing hard to get, but because you finally realize you were the blessing the whole time. Every woman has gone through that phase. Checking the phone, reading messages twice, staring at the screen, waiting for his reply like your whole heart is tied to those little gray ticks. You start imagining that if you just send one more long paragraph, if you just explain your feelings just a little more, if you just prove your loyalty, he will finally look at you the way you look at him. But that's the trap. That's the illusion. Because every time you chase him, you send him one silent message: you are more important than me. And the moment a man feels that, he relaxes. He becomes comfortable. He becomes lazy. He stops putting in effort because he knows you'll pick up the slack. He stops appreciating you because he believes you'll never leave. He stops valuing you because he doesn't think he can lose you. That's what chasing does. It puts him on a pedestal and puts you on the floor. But let me tell you about a woman I once knew. She gave everything: her heart, her time, her patience, her energy. She loved him with a loyalty that even God would applaud. But he didn't see it. He kept pulling away, kept ignoring, kept treating her like an option. And you know what she did for months? She tried harder. She thought she could fix it. She thought if she became quieter, nicer, more patient, more available, he would see her value. But instead, he distanced himself even more. Because the harder she chased him, the more he ran. Then one day she woke up and said, "This isn't love, this is survival." And she stopped. She didn't make an announcement. She didn't post quotes online. She didn't send a goodbye message. She simply shifted her focus from him to herself. She started chasing her dreams. She started working on her fitness. She started laughing again, smiling again, caring about herself again. She started doing the things she loved, the hobbies she abandoned, the friends she ignored, the goals she postponed. She started feeding her soul instead of draining it for someone who didn't know how to hold it. And do you know what happened? Not overnight, not instantly, but gradually. He noticed. He noticed the absence of her attention. He noticed the silence. He noticed that she wasn't available the way she used to be. He noticed that she wasn't waiting for him anymore. And suddenly, the man who had no time became curious. Suddenly, the man who didn't text back for hours was double texting. Suddenly, the man who said he wasn't ready started asking questions he never asked before. That's not magic. That's not luck. That's energy shifting. Because when a woman stops chasing a man, she becomes powerful. She becomes mysterious. She becomes someone he can't predict anymore. And men, listen closely, chase what they can't predict. They chase what they feel they're losing. They chase what feels rare. They chase what doesn't need them to breathe. But here's the part women don't hear enough. You're not chasing him because you love him. You're chasing him because you fear losing him. And fear has never built a healthy relationship. Fear makes you settle. Fear makes you shrink. Fear makes you accept bare minimum love because you're scared no one else will show up. But when you stop chasing and start choosing, you operate from strength, not fear. When you pour into yourself, something beautiful happens. Your confidence rises. Your energy shifts. Your glow becomes undeniable. You attract better opportunities, better people, better love. You walk with a different kind of power, the kind that says, I want you, but I don't need you. And that right there, that energy is what makes a man step up, straighten up, and realize what he almost lost. You see, men don't chase women who chase them. They chase women who chase their purpose, their peace, their growth, their dreams. They chase women who have a life, a woman who wakes up with goals, a woman who handles her business, a woman who doesn't drop everything for a man who gives her nothing, a woman who knows her worth even when he forgets it. And ladies, let me tell you something with all the love I have. You deserve to be chosen, not tolerated. You deserve effort, not excuses. You deserve love that doesn't make you beg for it. And the first step toward getting that kind of love is simple. Stop chasing him and start chasing yourself. Because when you do, the universe shifts, your energy shifts. And suddenly the man who once ignored you can't stop thinking about you. Not because you became different to make him love you, but because you finally became everything you were meant to be when you stopped trying to keep someone who didn't know how to keep you. Silence isn't ignoring, it's empowerment. Silence. Ladies, this right here is one of the most misunderstood powers a woman can ever hold. People think silence means weakness. They think silence means giving up. They think silence means you ran out of things to say. But the truth, silence is strength. Silence is self-control. Silence is emotional intelligence on full display. Silence isn't ignoring him. Silence is empowering yourself. Silence is not the absence of words. It's the presence of self-respect. It's you saying, I don't have to beg for clarity. I don't have to argue with someone who has already made up their mind. I don't have to explain my worth to someone determined not to see it. Silence is choosing peace over chaos, dignity over drama, and your sanity over someone else's inconsistency. Let me tell you something painful but real. Every time you respond instantly to someone who barely values your presence, you teach them they can have you without effort. Every time you argue with someone who's already disrespecting you, you teach them your boundaries are flexible. Every time you explain yourself for the 10th time to someone who never listens, you teach them your emotions are negotiable. Silence breaks that pattern. Silence says, I'm done carrying the conversation, the relationship, and the emotional load by myself. Silence is not punishment. It's protection. It protects your heart from constant disappointment. It protects your mind from overthinking every little message. It protects your energy from being drained by someone who doesn't give anything back. It gives you space to breathe, to evaluate, to heal, to rebuild your confidence without noise interrupting your growth. Picture this, a woman who used to panic when he didn't text back. She'd send follow-ups. She'd call. She'd double text. She'd try to fill the silence because she feared what it might mean. But one day, she decided she was tired of explaining her worth, tired of feeling like an option, tired of being the only one trying. So she went silent, not angry, not bitter, silent. She focused on herself. She posted her life without trying to impress him. She smiled. She glowed. She rebuilt her world from the inside out. And what happened? He came back nervous, confused, curious. He wasn't used to that silence. He wasn't used to her absence. He wasn't used to not having immediate access to her heart. Her silence created a mystery that her explanations never could. Her silence made him miss her in a way her words never did. Because silence forces a man to sit with himself. Silence forces him to think. Silence forces him to feel the loss he thought he'd never experienced. Silence makes him wonder, why isn't she talking? Did she move on? Did she stop caring? Is someone else giving her attention? Is she done with me? Silence triggers the pressure that your words could never create. Silence activates his mind. Silence makes him see your value through absence, not presence. Women think silence pushes a man away. No, silence reveals who he truly is. If he's interested, he'll notice. If he values you, he'll reach out. If he cares, he'll try harder. If he was only there for convenience, he'll disappear. And trust me, that's a blessing, not a loss. Silence filters out the wrong people without you having to lift a finger. Silence also gives you clarity. When you stop talking, you start hearing yourself. You start noticing how drained you were. You start recognizing how much you tolerated. You start realizing how many times you accepted disrespect by calling it love. You start understanding that the peace you felt during silence was more valuable than the attention you were begging for. You ever wonder why women glow when they stop talking to a man who hurt them? It's because silence reconnects them to themselves. It rebuilds their confidence, their identity, their power, that glow, that peace, that shift in energy. It's not because they found someone new. It's because they found themselves again. And that glow, oh, trust me, a man notices. Even if he doesn't say it, even if he pretends he doesn't care, even if he stays silent too. He feels the shift. He feels the distance. He feels the loss, because silence is never empty. Silence sends volumes. Silence says everything you don't have to say out loud. Silence says, I'm choosing me. Silence says, I'm no longer available for confusion. Silence says, if you want access to me, you better step up. Silence says, I'm not chasing anything that isn't chasing me. Silence is empowerment. It is you reclaiming your time, your emotions, your energy, your value. It's the moment you stop fighting battles that were draining you and start focusing on building a life that fulfills you. It's the shift from chaos to clarity, from insecurity to confidence, from desperation to power. Silence is not the end. Silence is the beginning of you rediscovering who you are without him. Silence is where your strength grows. Silence is where your standards rise. Silence is where he realizes your presence was never owed to him. It was earned. And when you use silence, not as revenge, but as self-respect, that's when everything starts changing. That's when the power shifts. That's when he notices. That's when you rise. Build your life, not his validation. Ladies, let me drop some truth on you right now. One of the biggest traps a woman can fall into is building her life around a man's attention. You've heard it before, but let me make it real for you. Waiting for him to notice you, waiting for his approval, waiting for him to finally see your worth. That's the fastest way to lose yourself. Your value is not measured by how often he texts, how quickly he replies, or how much effort he puts in. Your life is not a reflection of his validation. It's a reflection of your own power. Think about it. How many times have you canceled plans, avoided opportunities, or held back your joy just because you were waiting for him to act? How many times did you dress down, speak softer, or tone yourself down to fit into his mood, his schedule, his standards? You did all that in the name of love, in the hope that he would finally notice your sacrifices. But ladies, I need you to hear this loud and clear. A man who truly values you doesn't need you to shrink yourself to fit into his world. A man who deserves your love will meet you in your light, not try to dim it. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Aisha. She was in a relationship for years where she constantly sought his validation. She waited for compliments, sought his approval for every little decision, and measured her happiness by how much he cared or didn't care. And do you know what happened? She felt invisible. She felt small. She felt like no matter what she did, it was never enough. Her world revolved around him, but his attention never revolved around her. She was tired, drained, and on the verge of giving up. Then one day something clicked. Aisha decided she wasn't going to wait anymore. She wasn't going to let her value be dictated by someone who couldn't see it. She started investing in herself. She pursued hobbies she'd abandoned. She started working on her career. She spent time with friends who truly cared. She traveled, she laughed, and she found joy in her own presence. She stopped waiting for him to acknowledge her greatness. She began creating it for herself. And here's the powerful part. The moment Aisha started building her life, instead of seeking his validation, something changed. She glowed. Her energy shifted. She was no longer desperate for attention. She was magnetic in her independence. Suddenly, the man who had barely noticed her for years started noticing. Not because she wanted him to, but because he could no longer ignore the force of a woman fully committed to herself. Ladies, you need to understand something fundamental. You cannot control his feelings, his attention, or his actions, but you can control your life, your growth, and your happiness. Building your life is about creating an existence so full, so rich, so powerful that his validation becomes irrelevant. When you focus on your ambitions, your dreams, your passions, and your health, you stop living in the shadow of someone else's approval. You reclaim the energy that used to be wasted on hoping, waiting, and stressing over someone who doesn't see your value. Building your life doesn't just make you more attractive. It makes you unstoppable. It makes you confident. It makes you resilient. It makes you someone no one can take for granted because your worth is no longer negotiable. You stop tolerating disrespect. You stop chasing attention. You stop accepting excuses. And the moment you step into that version of yourself, you shift the energy of the entire relationship dynamic. You see, a man only chases what he fears losing, but he only respects a woman who isn't waiting for him to show up. When your life is thriving, when your joy is independent, when your happiness doesn't hang on a text or a call, he starts to notice, not because you're trying to punish him, not because you're playing games, but because he sees what he almost missed. He sees the power, the light, the independence, the self-worth that you've built for yourself.